and deploy it end to end. So that is what we are going to talk about. I have not done my formal introduction so far, right? So I've been doing AI for quite some time. I am also teaching at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm a part-time faculty member at University of Pittsburgh. Recently built an agentic AI platform called Ejento. And prior to that, Data Science Dojo, I founded Data Science Dojo as well. And worked at Microsoft. And I've been doing AI, as I said, for quite some time. So here is a very simple agenda. We will talk about what are the considerations when you're building an agentic AI workflow and agentic AI application. And we will actually go ahead and see an agentic AI platform that is built keeping all of the considerations in mind. So I like to characterize this whole agentic AI ecosystem using this pyramid. And for those of you who recognize this, this is inspired by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you look at it, most of the organizations, they start building their agentic AI applications by simply just building a wrapper around their existing some of the existing models and simply build a wrapper around it. But the reality of it is that before you even get to building and scaling AI agents in production, you have to really take care of your infrastructure, your data, and your tools. Are the tools connected? Are the tools interoperable? Are they connected or not? Is everything secure? And are you compliant? You have to worry about data governance. And now we talk about AI governance. We talked about prompt hijacking and jailbreaking. And in the previous session, we were discussing about having an appreciation and understanding of organizational alignment in terms of what use cases we are working on, what we are not working on. And that MIT publication that talked about 95% of POCs never making it to production. This is primarily because of all of these factors. Most organizations, they're directly jumping to scaling of agents, which is fine for a POC, but beyond that, there has to be some legwork that needs to be done. And I'm going to talk about some of the lessons learned. And then after that, we are going to look at the demo, and I will show you what does a complete finished product look like. Okay. So I showed this slide earlier this morning as well. In an agentic AI workflow, you have the first thing that you have to have is the perception, right? So you may be reading data from a PDF, from an image, it could be a multimodal input. Do you understand the intent? Intent is everything. If the user types in something, what if it is misunderstood? So there is this perception aspect to agentic AI. Then a lot of legwork actually happens, a lot of grunt work actually that happens in cognition and planning. You have goal management, reasoning and inference, then planning and memory and self-reflection. The knowledge representation, right? So the context engineering, the short-term and long-term memory. Do I know this user from the previous interactions with the application? Do I know what the user within the same session, what was the user asking? Do I have access to users' some HR records? Do I have access to users' information in previous orders, depending upon the application? Then there is the autonomy aspect of it. Once it has perceived and planned and understood the knowledge, Does it take actions? What kind of actions it will take? Then the safety and governance aspect of it, which actions are allowed and which actions are not allowed. And this really aligns with the discussion that we were having, not just in the previous session and the sessions before. We have talked about all of this the entire day. So safety and governance is important, right? So we want to make sure that the applications that we are building, they are safe. And evaluation. How do we evaluate? There is in traditional machine learning, if I have to evaluate an application that is, let's say, a fraud prediction model, it is very simple, right? So if either the transaction was fraud or it wasn't a fraud, right? So if I evaluate, my prediction is all either correct or wrong. So this was for a classification model. In a regression model, my prediction could be off by, let's say, housing price prediction model. My prediction could be off by 100, or 1,000, or 10,000. I can measure that deviation. And for other predictive models, I mean, there are other metrics. But how do we evaluate an LLM application? So these are some of the challenges that, or some of the building blocks that eventually turn into challenges when we are building agentic AI applications. So we will talk about some of the lessons that that we have learned. And for those of you who have attended all the sessions, you will actually now, you can completely see how these are connected, right? So as much as many of the leading companies, they try to convince you turnkey enterprise AI, Gen AI, it is a pipe dream. For most cases, I'm not saying for every single case, but for most cases, it is building a production system that is safe, that is compliant, that keeps you out of trouble. And I'm talking about enterprise applications, of course, right? It keeps you out of trouble. It is accurate. It is cost efficient, everything. There is no turnkey solution. Usually, barring a few simple use cases, there is no turnkey solution that is possible. You have to work on it. You have to tweak it. You have to build it. And there will always be some aspect of working on these applications. And this is this idea that when a technology trigger happens, case in point, ChatGPT came out, generative models, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, all of them, the expectations are inflated. I mean, POCs on like maybe 10 PDFs or 100 documents, they work amazing, right? And suddenly, when we try to operationalize or deploy these models or deploy these applications, there are adoption barriers, there are challenges. And then there is this sustained learning curve after that. Organizations, they invest on learning and making sure that eventually the use cases are figured out. Eventually, all the security issues and governance issues, they are taken care of, and use cases have been identified. This goes back actually. So a lot of this will go back to the previous session, right? So as in the previous session, Rina was mentioning this, organizations are often unclear about AI use cases, right? So many companies, they want to adopt AI, but do not have a strong problem statement. And I was looking at the comments or the questions in our Q&A. Someone mentioned, isn't it obvious that it should start with the business use case? I mean, shouldn't that start with that? But as surprising as it may sound, a lot of times it's not that obvious to many organizations. There are challenges around well-established use cases within organizations. The third thing is what I have found fascinating. Both we teach a boot camp on agentic AI, and we also have an Agentic AI platform. So interacting with the learners and the students in our bootcamp, and also interacting with some of the customers, somehow there is this perception that magically, these models are all knowing, and magically they are going to figure out everything, right? So Claude and Llama and OpenAI, GPT-4, GPT-5, they are going to take care of everything. But the truth of the matter is, the data is still the king. You have to provide context. You have to provide the right prompts. You have to provide information in the manner it can be ingested, right? So, for instance, if I go and ask a question, not on ChatGPT, but if I go and ask a question about anything that recently happened, the model will say as of my last update on such and such date, I don't have any information about what happened in April of 2025. These models, they know whatever was given to them by that time, but they don't know anything that is happening in the future. And for that purpose, you have to connect different sources of context or different sources of data. We have talked about MCP. So you can connect an MCP for a web search. You can connect MCP for your Google Drive, for your CRM system, for your website. Really build a context provider using either tools or APIs, or as we discussed, using some sort of MCP connection that will allow standardization and interoperability. Compliance will be a major barrier. Agentic AI applications, from our experience, they have been the nightmare of the InfoSec team. I mean, for InfoSec people, especially the CISOs, the Chief Information Security Officers at companies, they simply cannot wrap their head around this non-deterministic nature of, are you telling me that no matter what I ask, it will just interpret and it can take any action, right? So, and people can, and then when they learn about prompt hijacking and jailbreaking and all of that, seriously, they go crazy, right? So can someone prompt hack, or just make my chatbot, my customer support chatbot, make it say anything? Compliance is actually a major issue. Your legal and InfoSec, they won't like it, right? So, or your customers' legal and InfoSec, they're not going to like your Agentic AI applications. So the nature of AI models is actually making compliance-related tasks very difficult. You have data privacy and protection issues, some regulatory compliance problems, sensitive data handling problem. You have intellectual property and copyright. The data that you, or the content that you consume, and the content you create, copyright and intellectual property issues around that. Responsible AI, amplification of biases, and transparency and explainability, and security and misuse, and auditability. Why was I given this answer? Can I explain this answer based on sources? And whichever way you go, in this case, if the example is not very obvious, if I ask a model, they are trying to correct this, but not long ago, when you try to create an image, give me an image of a taxi driver, give me an image of a housekeeper, or software developer, or a flight attendant, you can clearly see the biases that have existed in the society and in our on internet, because it's primarily the internet is the source of data for us. You see these biases, and these model builders, in this case, the image generation model builders, they are constantly working on fixing these biases. Well, in this case, there has to be diversity, and then you have to have representations from potentially whatever the source of bias is. I mean, all genders, and all ethnicities and all colors and all races and so on. But if you try to correct it, this is an example where Google actually tried to fix these biases. And then here is an example, right? So someone asked for an image, create an image for portrait of founding father of America, and then it gave these options, which was very inclusive and all that DEI business it kicked in. But this is not correct, right? So from a factual standpoint, this is not correct, and so if they do this, they are made fun of, they get in trouble. If they do this, they are made fun of and they get in trouble. So when you deploy these applications, it is very easy to build an application, a proof of concept, no big deal. But building something that does not get you in trouble like this, that is actually quite hard. Also, LLMs have what we call the eagerness to please problem. LLMs, they tend to be, by design, the discussion is actually beyond the scope of this presentation. But from a UX standpoint or from a design standpoint, LLMs are these LLM applications, ChatGPT, and the underlying foundation models. They have this eagerness to please problem. So much so that one of the models, I believe it was a version of GPT 4.5, they rolled it back because it was showing signs of psychopathy. And the idea is, so if you look at this here, on the horizontal axis, we have some terms of service. And the vertical axis, we have some persuasion techniques. And the higher this, or the darker the color is, or the higher the number, that means that, for instance, this is one. One is illegal activity and logical appeal. So you can get ChatGPT, or I think this was done on ChatGPT, or even on Llama 2, actually. So there was this study that was performed that showed empirically that these models, they are prone to hijacking. So you can easily you can show logical appeal and you can perform a legal activity. But on the other hand, some activities are going to be very hard to perform. For instance, this one, number three is hate, harassment, and violence, right? So in that case, it is very hard. So there is a paper, if you look at it, Zhang et al. There's a paper that you can, I think this is the title of the paper, How Can Johnny Persuade LLMs to Jailbreak Them? So there's a problem. So why am I concerned about this? Because most of us, when we build these Agentic AI applications, under the hood, the main engine is going to be one of Llama or Claude or GPT models. And if they are prone to jailbreaking, our applications are prone to jailbreaking. A while back, I think one of the Ford or GM dealers, car dealers in somewhere in the Midwest, they got in trouble because their chatbot actually convinced one of the customers convinced their chatbot to give them a brand new Ford truck for $1, right? So it's so many things are possible, and the models are easy to jailbreak. Similarly, Air Canada got sued by a customer because Air Canada, the chatbot that they deployed, the customer somehow convinced the chatbot, or the bot was misled. Maybe I don't know exactly what happened. The bot had stale information, and the chatbot offered a special discount on bereavement fare, and the matter went to court, and the court ruled in favor of the customer. When you're building this, for those of you who are in software engineering, you probably know this term, technical debt. So when you build a product which is an agentic AI application, so technical debt is going to be inevitable. You will be building these systems. I mean, things are changing. You use one library. The library has moved on. Again, I will refer to the previous session where Mark actually mentioned that everything is still evolving, right? So we are playing catch up. So there is no standardization that, for the most part, for a lot of things, they're changing. So since things will be changing, technical debt is going to be inevitable. You will need amazing, like good technical product managers who are also technically very solid. It is very hard for a technical product manager or for a less than technical product manager to build Gen AI products. It is simply not possible because the nuances that are there to make the right decisions for the product, they're simply going to consume the entire organization. And here is this notion of if you have a Gen AI, not technical Gen AI PM, you start with the strategy, but if you don't know the problems, you don't understand the product, you're not very technical, then your devs and other stakeholders, they hijack the roadmap. Of course, product does not meet expectations, more interference and more control. And this is a vicious cycle that you remain stuck in forever after, once your PM is not in control. Rollouts are going to be a bigger pain in the neck than you can even imagine. When I release a bunch of new lines of code, well, my product is non-deterministic. In a traditional software product, my product is deterministic, right? So I'm calling some lines of code. I know exactly what to expect. But when you roll out prompts, when you roll out your Gen AI changes in your Gen AI application, even adding a new document or adding a new data source, it can completely change how your Gen AI application or how your agentic AI application behaves. So how do you roll out? How would you decide? How do you do prompt control or source control on prompts, for the lack of a better term there, right? So can you have a version control on your prompts? Well, you can, even if you implemented version control in your prompts, can you have version control on your documents and all of that? So there is actually a lot of things that can go wrong. So, and there are different techniques, right? So, you can have universal deployment, you can have opt-in, and there are different ways which are once again beyond the scope of the discussion here. Setting up evaluation and monitoring and guardrails early on, they're going to be a lifesaver for you. Make sure that you're continuously monitoring your application, which MCP was called, which tool was called, how many documents were returned, how the reasoning happened, how many tokens were consumed, what was the latency of inference, and so on. So setting these up earlier on, it is very helpful. Also having guardrails on both inputs. Sometimes you go and and I will show this in all of this that I'm talking about in a demo. I will make some queries without the guardrails. I will make some queries with the guardrails, and then I will show you, what that actually means. But having guardrails is going to be very helpful. It will keep you and your company out of trouble. Because in this case, if you look at this, the question here is, how many rocks shall I eat? And this is from Google Gemini, by the way. So if you don't recognize, this is Google. And you should eat at least one small rock per day. I'm feeling depressed, right? So, and one Reddit user suggests jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. Then you can, so cheese not sticking to pizza. You can also add about 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. So if you look at this, right, so these are, and why is this happening? Google and Gemini, they rely on Reddit as one of the most important sources of data. Perhaps these answers that they fetched it from, they were one of the highest voted answers. So basically, it is a community guiding these models, and these kind of things can happen based off sarcasm or for many reasons that I will let you think about. It is important to build a UI that is defensive. Make sure that you are using proper a monitoring and evaluation guardrails. In addition to that, make sure that you have a UI that doesn't let people do things that they should not be doing. And the last thing is that you will always find yourself stuck in this performance, cost, and correctness, in addition to, of course, the compliance and governance and safety and guardrails type challenges. You will always find yourself struggling with these when you're building these applications. So before I go to a demo, the product that I'm going to show you, this is called Ejento. And what the approach that we took, we started about 2 years ago, and the approach that we took was that Ejento is a compliance and safety first platform. So it was not an afterthought. It was something that was built into the design, right? So compliance and safety, interoperability of agents. Agents can collaborate with each other, and they are interoperable. And then it is an entire platform. And so how do we handle the governance and compliance aspect and security and control aspect? So Ejento actually goes and sits within the customer cloud. Why can't I go and build the same thing in, let's say, using OpenAI or Claude, ChatGPT? I can build my custom GPT models, but then I will be uploading data and giving it to a third party. Then access and auth and access controls. I hope that those of you who were there in the previous sessions, you are seeing the dots being connected. There is authorization and access controls that are built in. Data governance is built in. AI governance is also there. AI governance refers to the fact that I know I can explain the responses that I get. I have guardrails on inputs, what kind of questions are okay, what kind of questions are cool, what kind of questions are not okay. Then you have observability. You can actually go and see what happened in each user prompt. Then there are feedback loops and custom or multi-agent collaboration as well. And the way Ejento works is that instead of letting everyone just go and deploy their agents, what we do here is it is basically the IT and the subject matter experts at a company. Let's say company X, 10,000 people company. There's only 10 or 15 people who are building these agents, along with some of the subject matter experts. And these subject matter experts, they make sure that they identify the use case and deployment scenarios. They continuously look at and monitor the feedback given for the agents. Hey, this is a good response, this is a bad response, and those form the feedback loop. Agent ops, observability and cost and continuous monitoring. It's almost like just like your HR. Your HR actually does your onboarding and recruiting, learning and development, just offboarding if needed, organization alignment and compliance. So all of that is actually built into the platform. I think it is a good time. I will answer a few questions, and after that, I will go to the demo here. Let me see. I will start with the most recent one. let's see. Okay. I think these are okay. These are related to this session. So, with respect to data governance and policies, which we have in India, how can we leverage Agentic AI connecting with MCP servers in terms of data security? As NGOs who handle large volumes of data, they can rely and use this. So, this question is from Sandeep. Sandeep, I am. I think it is a question that is complex enough that I don't know how to answer it here. Because you will have to actually look at if you're working for a government organization, you will have to actually look at. I mean, if your government has this requirement or this law that the data has to reside uh, within the country, within the jurisdiction or the geography of the country, then you will have to actually find ways. You have to find some local cloud, or of course, some of the companies, I believe, Azure and AWS, they should have data centers within India. And then you have other constraints, but primarily, I think from government, I think often especially the requirements are around, where the data is kept. Let me see, are these slides? We will not be sharing the slides. We'll be sharing the recording, and it will be on our YouTube channel, or also on the LinkedIn, our LinkedIn page. Okay. Let me see. ML required knowledge of technology and functions, whereas other products do not. Okay. Okay, so I think these are some thoughts as I was presenting. Yes, I mean, I actually think so. There is a comment here. I'm glad technical product management will become critical. Absolutely, right? So, if you are a good AI or Gen AI technical product manager, I think despite all the issues or all the challenges in the job market that all of us see, I mean, this should be something. This should be a skill that can actually help you a lot in getting your next role. And if you're already a TPM, learn some agentic AI, learn Gen AI, and understand how products are built. It will help you in the long run. Okay, what was the technical stack tools used to build the applications for various components? You can build this in any of the mainstream platforms. You can build it in AWS, GCP. These are all containerized. So, of course, the MCP servers that I will show you in a bit. I think we still have a few more minutes. I will show you the MCP connections and really give you a sense of how do we control the certain types of access and all of that. So we built everything in Azure, but I don't want to mislead that it cannot be done in a different platform, right? So you can do the same thing. If we wanted, we can actually go and deploy this in Azure as well, because most of our services are containerized, and it's very easy to port from one platform to another. Okay, there's a comment from Devakar. Centralized AI agent platforms promise scalability and consistency, but how do they balance the benefits of central orchestration with the risks of single point of failure, vendor lock-in, and reduced flexibility for enterprise team? This is a great question, Devakar. So of course, I mean, no matter where we go, if it's a non-trivial solution, you will have to choose one of the clouds. I mean, in principle, you can have your MCP servers, your sources of data. You can still have your data in Amazon Redshift, and you're running it in this platform in Azure. But the platform has to actually run in Azure, but the data sources and the context and even other agents, they can be in different platforms. So I think, yes, I see that, it will reduce some flexibility, but I'm assuming from your question, I see, I sense that you have been in this space for some time. If you have to manage manage a very complex multi-cloud platform, it has its own challenges. Um, I think there are pros and cons of both, right? So being in a single platform or a single cloud platform versus being in multiple platforms. Okay, I think I will move on to the demo. I apologize. Let me see if I can see very quickly if there are. Okay, what evals were used in this Agentic AI OS that you were building? We have actually a lot of different evaluations. I can actually show you. Let's move on to the demo, and then it should actually bring this. It should start to make sense. Let me see. Okay, I will have to. No, I think this is not the one. I will go to history. And I'm just trying to find the agent that I wanted to show for the demo. Sent assistants and so let me show you this, show you all this, this particular. So this will actually, this will show you both the MCP server and also how we are actually using this, right? So this is a dummy deal that we have in our CRM. So if you look at this, so these are our MCP servers that we have connected. So if you look at this, I have connected HubSpot MCP server with the agent. I will go back and show you. There's a SharePoint MCP server. There's a Notion, Slack MCP server, Perplexity MCP server, and so on. And if you recall from our discussion in the previous session, we were talking about how Docker is, well, Dockerizing or containerizing all the MCP servers. So literally these, so we have built an MCP client. And once we have built that MCP client, we can actually connect any MCP server that is available out there, or we can write our own MCP servers and put it there, right? So if you look at this, I'll move a few windows around. So if you look at this, so this is the official HubSpot MCP server. And if you look at this, I have this, I can get a contact, I can update a contact, I can create a deal, I can update a deal, and what kind of actions are available. I can, if you look at this, I can create associations, batch create objects, list associate. So these are the actions, and this is the information that is available to me. If I want to connect it, so there is this MCP server that we have deployed, and then we have given it some permission. And how does this work? And similarly, I can connect a Perplexity MCP server. I can use a web search, Google Drive, and so on. Let me go back and show you what are the implications of this. So this is my, once again, we do trainings all the time with Data Science Dojo. So, I have connected this training proposal writer to our HubSpot MCP server. There's a retriever tool, which is the Agentic retriever. Then we have a Perplexity web search tool, RAG tool, etc. Right? So, and so this is a deal, a dummy deal that I created yesterday. And so we are pretending that Ejento AI wants an Agentic AI training. So I asked it a question, check the HubSpot enterprise training deals pipeline for from Ejento AI, Agentic AI training. let me see what it looks like. So yeah, I think it might not be very helpful, but so, I mean, basically it is some information. We're pretending that someone reached out and asked from Ejento, asked us for a training. And then now we have to provide the context. And this is saying, so summarize the communication so far and check the notes and email communication on this deal, right? And without me even going to the HubSpot MCP or HubSpot CRM, it is actually telling me all the notes and all the communication that has happened so far. Okay. Um, so now how do I make it use different kind of models? I can actually go and make it use any kind of models. If you look at this, right? So I can make it use web search. I can change it to from GPT 4.1, I can change it to a GPT 5 or any other model. I can also, right now it is using this React framework. I mean, there could be a reflection. If you remember from the first or the second session, we were talking about being able to reflect on your output. So if you give it a reflection type approach, it will look once it has generated the answer, it will go back and correct or reflect on the answers and make sure that the answers are correct. I can also set up some topical guardrails, right? Let's say I can tell it, do not talk about agentic AI training. So this is my guardrail. When I go and save this guardrail, no, I hope that it was updated. Let me see. Let me see. What is tell me about the agentic AI training? And after enabling this guardrail, I expect it to not to respond. Let's see. I'm doing this in a rush, so hopefully this should work out. Okay, so you see, okay, so this for some reason, I mean, like any demos, this is, let me see if it is actually, let's see what it does in the end. Okay, so it was able to give it to me. I can actually tell it to redact the PII. If I redacted the PII, it will actually remove any names from responses and so on. So this is an example of guardrails. What else? We were talking about monitoring and analytics. I can actually go and see how many queries, how many active agents, which ones are the most active agents, and so on. I will show you one more agent, and I think I will be out of here. Actually, the guardrail worked here fine. I should have actually. So in this case, if you look at this, I have set this guardrail. And here I have set this guardrail, which says, do not, let me actually first disable the guardrail. And so this is this agent. This is another assistant, another agent that is connected to the clinical trials API. So this is not an MCP server. This is an API connection. And then I will go and ask it this question. Find all clinical trials for women with breast cancer. The trial should be in the United States. And what it does is it just goes and calls that API. I ask in natural language. Let's say I'm a doctor. I'm looking for some medical trial, some clinical trials, or maybe some administrator for a hospital. It converts my query into clinicaltrials.gov API call, and it fetches this in real time. I can ask it, give me more information on this one. Okay. So this is a specific clinical trial ID. And we are actually asking this question. Let's see what it does. And you can see that we are analyzing the query, processing the query, and it is going and fetching the results right now for this. Let's see. Hope this goes through quickly. Don't have much time. And this is in reflection mode, so that's why it is taking a lot of time. Okay, so it is giving me more details, right? So University of Maryland, NCI, giving me all the details. I can actually, I can look at it here. I want to show one more thing. Okay, so let me actually try to apply guardrail here. Okay, do not answer any question about uh, uh, any trials related to breast cancer. I don't know why we would do it, but I mean, it is what it is, right? So we will try. And let me ask this question. Find all clinical trials. Let me start a new thread. And I will ask a question and expect it to block it. If it doesn't, then I need to go back and check with the team why it is not blocking it. But it should actually block this query. Okay, I love it. Right. So if you look at this, it is saying I'm not actually configured to answer a question about this. And there are many, many use cases. I wish we had more time. I would have loved to. But there are many, many use cases where even a legit question, you might say, no, I mean, this is not what I do. Do not answer this question. Okay, I am going to stop sharing and I will see if there are any questions. Okay, is it possible to add more comprehensive guardrails? Experience show that any context or system from guardrails? Yes, yes. So Doug, this is a wonderful question. Can we bypass? So can we add more guardrails? Yes, we have. So these are what we call. These guardrails are what we call the more like generative guardrails, but we also have some predictive guardrails and some regex-based guardrails, right? So if this word is there in the input or this word is there in the output, just block it, right? So because these guardrails are prone to failing. So that's definitely. So Ahmed, your question is Ejento AI your platform? Yes, this is our platform, and we actually have more than 10 enterprise customers at the moment. And, you can think of like companies ranging from 10 million to like $20 billion in revenue. So this is our own platform. Okay. Let me see.